It has taken way longer than I could have ever imagined to get to this point. It is a rainy day, and I have had a pile of parts collecting in the back of my garage for quite some time. Nilight reached out to me a couple weeks ago and sent me a box. They wanted me to basically make a video with some of their products and throw them on one of the trucks. I needed rock lights for the first gen, and that's what we got. I opted for the 8-piece rock light kit that also comes with 2 light whips. Not sure those are going on right away, but nice to have. The kit overall looks pretty straightforward and simple to install. I have 8 rock lights, so I can do 2 in each wheel well. And then all of the mounting stuff necessary to get those mounted onto the truck. You have 2 isolated switches, 1 for the rock lights, 1 for the whips. I won't be using either of those switches because I have a switch panel. And then you have your harness with your ballast in them. This guy is for your rock lights. Compared to the rock light setup that I have in the 3rd gen, this seems like a ton of wires, but once I get everything in there, I'm sure I'll be able to tidy it all up. And then this other harness is for your light whips. I'm gonna go ahead and hold off on doing light whips for the moment because I don't have bumpers on the truck, and also I don't really have a need for whips on the truck while I'm driving it around in Colorado, but maybe they'll go on the truck eventually. We're gonna start with rock lights. I'm gonna try to do 2 rock lights in each wheel well. Should be pretty straightforward, and then we can get all this stuff wired into the switch panel and see how they look. I am drilling holes into the truck to run all of my wiring inside so I don't have a bunch of messy wires in the wheel wells. That's what these backing plates are for. They're rubberized. They do protect the hole that you drill, so ideally we're not letting water in. Definitely a better chance than if you don't drill a hole, but I don't care. We're gonna go ahead and do it this way. We got a rough start going here, but I'll go ahead and walk you through the plan. I got 2 rock lights in the rear wheel well. Wires ran inside of the body and then up along the bedside. The one thing that I do wish that I could change about this, knowing that there's gonna be 2 in the back, 2 in the front, I'm gonna have 4 of these gigantic wires running up, tucked away somewhere inside of the truck, and then running into the engine bay. That is one thing that I do think that this kit could definitely improve on. Now I know this is probably the easiest way to do it because having each individual rock light with its own length of wire makes them pretty universal. Do wish there was a little bit better options to kind of hide the wiring though. Anyways, that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and move towards the front, start hiding some wires away inside of the interior panels, and then I will show you guys how I get everything wired in. Last night we got all the wiring cleaned up and hidden in all of the interior panels. Everything lands directly under this carpet. Didn't do a huge in detail process of me doing all the wiring because it's not that complicated. You just run your wires to a desired location and do your best to hide everything and make it look pretty. This is what made the most sense for my situation. I ran my 1 power wire that runs up through the firewall and into my switch panel, which you can see right here. It's the only thing wired in at the moment. It's back here in the back. And then secondly, got the switch panel connected to the battery last night. Don't worry, I'm going to clean up all these wires. But lastly, I needed to connect to ACC power. So that switch panel turns on when I turn the power to the truck on. If I were to plug this in to this location in my fuse box, this is your hazard and your horn fuse. Went ahead and plugged it in here, and what happens is the switch panel is on all the time, right? Like if your truck's off, typically you can use your horn. So that's no good. You don't want to use that because that will run the battery down. That one's no good. This is a charging fuse and it's only a 7-amp fuse. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one. Since the horn's not working, I'm not even gonna bother putting a fuse in there for the moment. And then if I plug my jumper wire into this side, then what you get is no power when the truck's off. Turn the truck over, you got power to your switch panel. And we got power to our rock lights. I'm gonna take a minute to take some zip ties and whatnot and clean up this mess of wiring, make it look a little bit better, and then we'll start throwing this stuff back together as well. What color you want?
Oh my God, if I collected all of these that we have in the house, we have like 8 of these.
Rock sliders are officially back on the truck. I did go ahead and throw the topper back on as well. I just got tired of it sitting in the yard collecting dirt and dust. If you guys watched any of the old videos, I did mention that the rock sliders used to be mounted in towards the body of the truck a little bit more than I liked. So we did kind of move them out a bit more. They're gonna provide a little bit more protection on the body, as well as it kind of makes it easier to climb in and out of the truck. It gives you something to step on. So those are all finished up. Instead of using square tubing this time, I did use round stock to weld from the rock slider to the frame rail. Still need to go and buy some paint and get all this stuff touched up. Anyways, I know I started this out by doing rock lights, so I will jump back in and show you guys the rock lights when it gets a little bit darker out tonight. I'll go and take it around on the road and actually get some decent shots instead of me just sitting in the driveway and playing with buttons. But the last thing I want to do in this video is I want to address the rear leaf springs. When I first started tearing this truck down, I cut the original leaf springs off and I put Chevy 63s onto the back end of this truck. So far, I haven't done any off-roading, so I don't really know how they're going to perform. I have flexed it out with a forklift and they seem to flex quite a bit. But once I put the topper on and a few things in the back of the truck, it definitely settled a few inches. So yesterday I went to the junkyard, picked up a couple leaf packs out of another set of 63s. My goal is to get at least 2 inches of lift. If I get anywhere in that range, I'll be pretty happy. Got to go ahead and pull the rear end apart and get everything swapped in, get this thing thrown back together, and hopefully we get 2 inches of lift out of it. Alright, I added one leaf pack, swapped out like the overload pack, put one extra pack in the ones that were in the truck. So I'm gonna throw this one. Can you do that? Huh? Can you do that? You can kind of like mix and match all of this stuff until you find a desired height. At least that's what I've been told. I've never done it. But honestly, I didn't think I'd get that far, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. I gotta put one back in and take the other one out. All right, we're back in the garage. Leaf springs were a success. We ended up getting almost exactly 2 inches of lift, which is what we were looking for. So pretty excited about that. And I was thinking after the fact, I didn't do any measurements on camera of what we started with, so you'll just have to take my word for it. Previous to installing the leaf packs, we were sitting at about 5 inches in this wheel gap here, and now we're just above 7. So gave me exactly what we were looking for. Got rock lights in the truck, pretty happy with those. I got rock sliders on the truck, so I'm very excited to have all that stuff back on and out of the way. I don't have to worry about it ever again, hopefully. As far as the rock lights go, I think it's a pretty good option to get some rock lights on your off-road vehicle. Relatively affordable. It's just over $100 and not too complicated to get installed. Granted, I did drill holes in the truck. You don't have to get them installed on your truck, but that's the way we went. So definitely recommend them. Thank you, Nilight, for sending those over. Have a couple more things to work on the truck this week. I need to do a U-joint that's blown up in the rear drive shaft and get the front of the truck aligned. I still haven't done that since I rebuilt the front end. And she's a little squirrely down the road, but I am absolutely trying to get this thing out of the garage here this week or this weekend. That was the plan this weekend, and it just didn't work out. Even if it's something extremely easy, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing out on some dirt this week, and you guys can look forward to this thing finally leaving my garage. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you in the next one.